Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to the next talk. I'm Jamie McCall. I'm the chair today of the Interpretation and Design Talks. I'm really proud to be introduce this new talk, so the economic impact of Dippy on tour and your chance to borrow our Jurassic giant. It's Freya Stannard, the head of the National Programmes, and Rebecca Ball, project manager at the Natural History Museum.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay? It feels like you're quite far away, but can you hear me over there? Great, okay. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for coming to our session. We're going to be chatting to you today about our most loved dinosaur, Dippy. Over the past 4 years, Dippy has been on tour, and we've been able to pull together a lot of really fascinating evaluation from that. And we've been seeing some quite unexpected and big benefits from the programme that we didn't think we would at the very beginning. So we wanted to share these findings with you today, and then let you know about what's happening next with Dippy, and any opportunities for people to be involved with that next opportunity. Quickly, I just want to introduce us. I'm Freya, Head of National Programmes, and I'm joined by Rebecca Ball today, who used to work in the National Programmes team and now is part of the NHM's project team, but delivered Dippy on tour. Rebecca's going to be speaking about the tour, and then I'm going to introduce what the next opportunities are with Dippy. Very briefly, however, I just wanted to let you know, give you an overview of what the National Programmes team does at NHM. Because recently we have developed a new national plan, and this is really responding to the NHM's new strategy to 2030, or relatively new, came out just during COVID. And really the purpose of this new strategy for NHM is to respond to the planetary emergency and to be able to be creating advocates for the planet, so essentially we can build a place where both people and planet thrive. And so in the National Programmes team, we wanted to respond to this emergency. And the purpose of our new National Programmes plan is to build a thriving future for people and planet by connecting communities, museums and collections across the UK to real-world societal and environmental challenges. There's sort of three main strands that we'll be doing this through, and the first one is sharing the national collection and science research to engage the widest possible audience. This is where some of our Dippy activity comes in, but it's also where we'll be soon developing a new collections-based national programme, which is based on our recent exhibition out South Kensington, Our Broken Planet, How We Got There and Ways to Fix It, which is really about supporting young people, 15 to 25 age groups, the change makers of the world at the moment that are looking at these issues and supporting that across the UK. So we were looking for partners as well, that's a quick plug. The second area where we will be delivering the National Programmes plan will be in fostering skills and knowledge sharing to support the museum sector resilience and care of natural history collections across the UK. We do that through networks like the Real World Science Networks, but also in developing new programmes that will be looking to support digitisation and the benefits of digitisation of natural history collections across the UK. We've just recently got a little bit of AHRC funding to do a scoping research project with regional museums to see what would the benefits be and what are the resources needed to digitise these collections. And so hopefully gathering that research we'll be able to put in a bigger funding bid to support that kind of activity going forward. And then the final area is around delivering meaningful learning experiences to connect broader audiences with relevant environmental challenges where they are and inspiring positive action. And at the moment for the next 3 years, this will be looking at delivering our Explore Urban Nature programme, which will connect museums and schools across the country, supporting young people to build STEM skills in tackling some of the environmental issues, but really focusing on building a connection to nature at home, on the doorstep, where people are. So really that was actually just a cheeky opportunity for me to let you know what else we're doing in national programmes to introduce us. If anyone wants to collaborate or partner on things, please just get in touch with me afterwards. But I will now pass to Rebecca to talk about what this talk is actually about, all things Dippy. So, Rebecca.
Thanks. Just made my phone. Right, hello everyone. My name's Rebecca. As Freya mentioned, I work as a project manager at Natural History Museum. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to give a bit of context to Dippy on Tour, to talk about some of the highlights, and then also to talk about how we evaluated the economic impact before we talk about what's next and how you can be involved. So Dippy was on tour in the UK between 2018 and 2021. We were due to finish in Norwich Cathedral in October 2020, and unfortunately we were delayed slightly due to the pandemic, but I am delighted to say that we were able to complete the tour in the end. So Dippy has been the ultimate partnership project. It's had 8 host venues across all of the UK and 3 national sponsors, including the Garfield Weston Foundation, who provided 2/3 of the funding to make the tour possible. The 8 host venues also worked in partnership across their local regions. They collaborated with wildlife organisations, with businesses, universities and local collections to extend the impact of the tour into the hearts of their communities. Dorset Museum, who kicked off the tour, blew absolutely all of us away with their incredible visitor numbers, welcoming, I think, treble their annual visitor numbers in just 12 weeks. Dorset also commissioned research into the social and economic impact in Dorchester, which showed a staggering contribution to both the venue and the wider sort of area and surrounding businesses. And that really set the tone for the tour and started to draw our attention to this secondary benefit to the local economy. Birmingham created a really beautiful exhibition exploring the relationship between dinosaurs and birds, and they also had their most successful ever temporary exhibition in that space. They also noticed a significant uplift in terms of on-venue spend and in the wider city. And that alerted us to a trend which Michael Ellis MP, who was then the Culture Secretary at the time, dubbed the Dippy effect. Then across the Irish Sea, Dippy went to the Ulster Museum, where he helped them to bring in brand new audiences who'd never visited before, and he stood pride of place in an exhibition about Irish natural history. On to Kelvin Grove, who had the highest numbers of the tour overall, with over 600,000 visitors. But also, importantly, they helped us to fulfil one of our core aims in delivering the tour, which is to share our star specimen with audiences outside of London. And when surveyed, 86% of visitors in Kelvin Grove said that they'd never seen Dippy before. It's amazing. Newcastle had over 10,000 students participate in learning programmes. They also created a really stunning contemporary exhibition projecting animations in their gallery to illustrate the climate crisis. Cardiff collaborated with their youth forum, who donated over 500 hours of their time to co-design an exhibition around the themes of fast fashion and sustainability. And we were cruelly interrupted by the pandemic in Rochdale, but not before Dippy managed to get a Blue Peter badge, and the team there wrapped a Manchester tram in Dippy branding. So Dippy's final spectacular stop was in the nave at Norwich Cathedral, which helped to push us over the 2 million visitor mark as well, and bid farewell to the tour. Norwich not only convened a really special celebration event for all of our incredible partners, but they also held a Blue Lights Night event to say thank you to key workers in that area for their continued support throughout the pandemic. Tab on. So the economic impact, the Dippy effect, seemed to build and build throughout the tour. And although the economic benefit wasn't a key aim at the outset of the tour, we felt that the impact had been so significant in some cases that we needed to look more closely. And so we commissioned Durnin Research, who had developed the Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit for the Association of Independent Museums, who developed a really consistent and robust methodology for us to evaluate the additional economic and volunteering impacts that had been generated through the tour across our 8 partner venues. The additional economic benefit of the tour was modelled and calculated using the Green Book principles from Treasury, with evidence and analysis coming from 2 main sources. So the first strand is online surveys, which were sent out by the venues, and they ask questions regarding the home location of the visitors, their motivations for visiting Dippy at each of those venues, and their subsequent spend both on and off-site. And then the second strand of data comes from proformas, which each of the venues provided, giving kind of summary information about their time with Dippy. And although the economic impact has been incredible across all of the 8 venues, there's also been a notable sort of Dippy effect in terms of visitor numbers, profile and awareness raising for all of our partners. And overall, the total boost to the local economy across all the venues was valued at just under £36 million. So what's next for our Jurassic giant?
Am I on? Oh, it's up. Great. So actually, probably before I jump into this slide, I should probably mention just briefly that before anything happens with this, Dippy will be coming back to NHM, and there'll be a free installation happening, opening on the 28th of May. This is going to be an opportunity to see Dippy for free again throughout the rest of the year, but also to celebrate where Dippy went on the tour. So that will be done through some beautiful footage that really celebrates and showcases the diversity of the UK landscape through some beautiful sort of dioramas around the edge of the installation. So do come and see that at NHM if you're in London. But at the end of 2022, that is when the installation will come to an end. And now we're offering a new opportunity to work with Dippy and be a partner of ours. We'd launched the application a few weeks ago. But just to say, there's a few different reasons why we wanted to do this. Really to continue to share the national collection and audiences with audiences across the UK. And again, to continue to engage and inspire audiences with the natural world and the planetary emergency. As I mentioned, NHM strategy really focuses on reaching new audiences and to make those changes that we need to save the planet. So we hope that Dippy can be used by other venues to inspire people with the natural world and highlight the changes that the planet has gone through over time. Building on what we have just learned from the tour and the impact on sharing Dippy as well, we hope to bring benefit to a new region in the UK, perhaps through economic impact for local economies, contributing to levelling up and placemaking agendas, as well as post-COVID recovery now. And lastly, we want to bring benefit to the host venue, increasing visitor numbers, bringing in new audiences, etc., and potentially increasing funding, income, and opportunities to develop inspiring and relevant programming around the cast. So really we're currently looking for new and interested venues or potentially partnerships of different venues collaborating on this opportunity. We hopefully have developed a relatively simple application form for this that tries to capture how the opportunity might support the development of a regional venue. We're going to be doing this by looking at two main areas. I don't think that went through, did it? Hang on.
Yeah.
There we go. So we're going to look at two key areas in the application form. So first and foremost, practical considerations. Is the venue big enough? Do you have a space big enough to host a giant dinosaur? Is it indoors? And is there also space for install and also visitor flow when the exhibition space is open? What are the security conditions like in the space, the environmental conditions like in the space, and the ability to provide insurance, whether that's commercial or through the government indemnity scheme. We would help venues with this. It's not a requirement that everyone has to be ready for that loan, and we would hope to support that and work out whether or not it's possible, and there's things that we can do to support that. And then the second area is we're really going to be looking at the potential impact that this could have for a venue and region. So is there something that people want to do with audiences, bringing new audiences, connecting with new communities in the area? It could also be something to do with increasing footfall, of course, and income for the venue. But we'd also like to see how the venues would like to engage with audiences around the planetary emergency. And finally, a demonstration of anticipated legacy for the opportunity for the host organisation, the local community, audience and the wider region. We'll also probably take into consideration a few other factors depending on how many applications come in. So how quickly a venue might be able to take Dippy from January 2023 to keep Dippy on display for as long as possible. But also things like where is the venue located? Is it close to a place where which hosted Dippy during the tour? Is it in a strategic location? So, for example, levelling up priority place and the ability to reach wide and diverse audiences. But that's not going to be a sort of the first and foremost. It will be those two considerations: practicality and expected impact first and foremost. So don't let that put anyone off applying. You can apply online. There's an application form online, or you can get in contact with us. There'll be contact details at the end of the presentation. But now I'm just going to pass back to Rebecca to talk a bit more about the practicalities and the process of applying if you're interested.
Oh. Right, so I just wanted to talk about the timeline for the loan and the application process. So the applications are open currently. We'd love to hear from you and have any conversation, even if it's just speculative at this stage. The deadline for applications is the 15th of July. We're going to be shortlisting from July and August and any follow-up conversations we need to have. Early in the autumn, August, September, we've carved out some time if we need to do site visits, hopefully with the security advisor from Arts Council, but also our security team and registry team at NHM. We can look at your site in more detail. We can talk through if there's any changes that need to be made and how we can support you, and also look at the facilities reports as well and how we might support you in submitting those. In October, we hope to have the partnership confirmed, and then to announce that new partnership publicly December to January, to hopefully tie in with the end of the Dippy Returns exhibition at South Kensington. And then, as Freya mentioned, the loan will be available from January 2023. I just want to caveat that that's not the deadline. You don't absolutely have to take the loan from January 2023, but that's the earliest available date. And I just wanted to cover some of the most commonly asked questions that I get about Dippy. So firstly, the venue that it goes to on this long-term loan absolutely doesn't have to be a museum. We're really open to any and all ideas, and as long as it's a publicly accessible space and it's viable, we'd love to hear from you. If you're a museum and you don't quite have enough space, but you know a great space in your town, we'd love to sort of look at a partnership, how we can make that work. And again, as Freya's mentioned, if you're not government indemnity ready, please don't let that deter you, and we'd love to try and support as much as we can. Again, I just want to caveat that this is really not Dippy on Tour Part 2. I've talked about the brilliant impacts of Dippy on Tour, and that has certainly been a big reason why we've decided to do this new project, but we're not expecting venues to drop everything and throw all of their staff at creating a huge rush to see an exhibition centred around Dippy for a short period of time. We'd like this to be a long-term and sustainable partnership around mutual goals that we just discussed in Freya's section. And we'll support you into developing that offer. If it's a permanent gallery intervention, or if Dippy is just accessible to view and you have intermittent programming around it, that's absolutely fine as well. And we'll also support venues if they would like to seek additional funding to deliver programming. So on here I've just had some of the key questions about what the Natural History Museum provides in this partnership. These are quite logistical, operational based questions, but number one, we provide Dippy and the plinth. As you can see there, quite large. Dippy is 26 metres long, 4.3 metres high, and 4.3 metres wide, 4.2 high. That's with the plinth fully mounted. It's a modular armature, so it can't be displayed without being on its plinth. So there you go. We provide crating and transportation of Dippy. We'll arrive to your venue with a team. We'll have 4 technicians and 2 conservators who will complete the installation, as well as a supervisor to oversee that process. The build process takes about 5 days, sometimes 7. It depends on the complexity of your venue, but typically about 5. We'll provide some comms support from our press team to help you make the most of those press moments and use Dippy to shine a spotlight on what you're doing. We're happy to help with that. We'll also provide some conservation checks over that initial 3-year loan period, just to check that he's getting on okay in his new home. You'll have access to all of the resources that we've produced and developed throughout the tour, of course, and that includes a 3D replica printed Dippy skull, which is really helpful to use for outreach activities. You can take it outside of your venue. It can be a tactile learning object as well. Yeah, it's very popular, the Dippy skull. They're quite breakable. So if there's any other questions that come up, I'm around all of the rest of the afternoon. I'd love to talk about any ideas you have, any questions. The requirements from the venue side and this are all put together in a FAQ document on our website. So if you are interested in having a look at the application, it's just a very simple Word document. You can download it and fill it in your own time. It's fairly short and straightforward. And yeah, the FAQs should help with anything, but I'm really happy to be on the other end of the phone or email while you're working through that as well. Like, don't worry about leaving it to the last minute. Is anything you want to say, Freya?
So yeah, and maybe additional funding.
Yeah, that will support if anybody wants to seek additional funding. We're very happy to support an application process and seeking that.
Yeah, that's it.
So if there's any, if there's any questions for Freya and I now, I'm not sure how we're doing for time here, but we're really happy to answer them now, or one-to-one, or on any of those email addresses. Please send your applications to Lend Us Dippy. We'd love to see them. Any questions?
Any questions at all? No? Okay. Thank you so much to Freya and Rebecca.
Thank you very much. No question.